pretty messy, right?
Yeah, a bit of a slog, but you're probably going to get those games during the year, but you don't see them too often. But, I mean, I think for the first round of NAB and all those sorts of things, you don't mind the boys running through, you know, some heavy conditions just to top them up from a conditioning point of view.
What did you learn?
Well, I think Carmichael's continue his growth through the midfield. He's kicking, which the boys have been working on, or his field kicking. And on the run, I think he looked comfortable through the midfield. Aaron Hall in both the games showed some dash and some composure. Jago O'Meara's, we're probably going to have to go into counselling throughout this year, the fact we can't play him, but he obviously is a young fellow, although he's 18, he turned 18 on Thursday, I think, this week. It just turned 18, so yeah, it's going to be a tough year for him and probably the coaching staff. Shane O'Brien is a midfield coach, but that's you know, probably a good thing. We can manage him through the course of the year. I think the 5,000 supporters turning up too. In these conditions, Gold Coast, very unfootball-like, I suppose, but for them to turn out and see the boys perform, and I think artificially win our first game at Metricon Stadium, it was really pleasing for them. And I thought, yeah, a few of the other kids really put their hand up.
Just back to Aaron, I mean, from what you heard and seen, was that what you were sort of game that you were expecting or just hoping for? I mean, the dash he showed and his boys.
Well, yeah, well, you see a lot of that, like most of the kids, you see that, you know, the tapes of the underage stuff and him playing down in Tasmania, and you go, well, gee, and you always hope that they can transfer that into playing against men and big brutes, and, you know, obviously in the heat of AFL football, and he, through training, has demonstrated that, but again, it's probably easy against your teammates, but it's coming up against an opposition. But again, I didn't see him miss a beat, you know, based on what he's done through the pre-season, based on what I've seen in his tape. So, yeah, he looks very composed.
Did he surprise you? Did he surprise you?
Well, from a young, well, I want to say young boy, he's 20, 21, I think, so he's semi-matured, if you know what I mean, but his first game of serious AFL football. I was pleased for him. He's had a great pre-season, worked really hard, and all the things you saw is that's what he does. That's what he does really well. So, yeah, I'm pleased for him. I wouldn't say it's a major surprise. It's always a surprise when a kid bobs up and looks so composed like he does. But again, you don't want to get too carried away. It's about doing it next week against Geelong. We play Friday night and the next game and the game after, and then he prepares potentially for round one of the season against Adelaide.
Was Zach Smith okay, or was this just took him off, he had enough, was it, or was it?
Yeah, he and Kay, yeah, just because they'd played in that first one, it was more just timing and rotations. We kept our fingers crossed we didn't get another injury because we pushed our button, but it was more a conditioning type of thing.
Charlie Dixon was pretty strong all night. I remember last year you sort of saying that you hoped he'd step up to the level. Is this supposed to be a big year for him? Yeah,
look, I wouldn't say he's had a perfect pre-season, but he's had a fairly good one. He had a little injury to his hip flexor, I think, and slowed him down a bit. But yeah, his ability to compete and physically compete in the ruck is handy. We know he's always been a ruckman as a young kid, but I think he's very much a competitor when the ball hits, you know, is below his knees. And yeah, we know he can play ruck and catch a few forward. Obviously tonight wasn't the night for that, but yeah, he certainly stepped up, and again he's one of those kids that have benefited from a fairly good pre-season and just a bit of maturation mentally too. He's grown up as a young fella, and he understands now what it takes if he wants to be a serious AFL footballer, and he certainly took a step towards that tonight.
Louis, what about Stephen May? Well, you said it wasn't a good night for forwards, so I guess it probably helped the defenders, but did you seem to be grooming him to fill in from where Bocky's going to miss the first few weeks? How did you think?
Yeah, well, you know, there's you're sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, Bocky was so good for us down back. I'm not saying he won't play down back for us, but again, I think his performance up forward for us was good about actually allowing us to defend better. I know that sounds silly, but if he can catch it, maintain the ball forward for us in a second or third chain of possession, well, now our defenders can actually push up and squeeze like most of the modern sides do defensively. So, yeah, if Maisie and Matty Warnock can hold their spots down there, Jared Brennan, I thought did his good bits, coming off off his man at the right time and defending well. So, yeah, we probably need 2 or 3 boys to cover Nathan Bock. But again, if we could settle Bocky forward, that would be handy. And more importantly, it means Maisie and Matty Warnock holding up, of course.
So you're learning your best team. You think you're getting closer to figuring it out in your head?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately we always say the players end up picking themselves, but yeah, certainly settled through the midfield, and as I said, you know, our key forward position, but obviously Tommy Lynch could have played tonight. We decided not to, and Sammy Day, I think he arrives next Wednesday back from Arizona, so you know, he's got an extra couple of heavy weeks into him. So you know, those two boys, Bocky. So yeah, we, you know, we're in a fairly healthy position going into next week, but probably even more so into round one.